Stream, not the translation. Stream. Yes.
Hello, I think we are live. I'd like to welcome everyone on YouTube channel of the Movement of Conscientious Objectors. We continue our webinars with our colleagues and with conscientious objectors from another countries. My name is Artem Kliga. I'm the advocacy manager of the Movement of Conscientious Objectors, and today with my special guests, I would like to start with Merve Arkun. He's a researcher from the Conscientious Objectors Watch, the organization from Turkey that is helping to conscientious objectors, and also she was a vice president of the European Bureau of Conscientious Objectors in 2014, and also a member of the Right to Refuse to Kill Committee of War Resisters. Hello, Merve. Thank you very much for joining us today.
Hello, Artem. Thanks for organizing this event.
Yes, and also today with us, Kemal Soylu is a conscientious objector in Turkey. He declared his conscientious objection with a statement in 2020. He volunteers in various non-governmental organizations and communities that engage in right-based struggles. Thank you very much, Kemal, and hello.
Hello, Artyom. Thank you for inviting me at this wonderful webinar.
Yes, today we're going to speak about the situation in Turkey. For me, it's very interesting because Turkey is only one country in among members of the countries of the European Council without any possibilities to apply for alternative military service. But before we start, I would like to say some preview. I would like to ask our viewers to write your comments in this YouTube translation, and also press the like button to support our translation. And you also can support our organization and organizations of the Conscientious Objection Watch. We're going to put the details under this translation. And also you can find some important materials that were sent by Merve. This is materials about conscientious objection in Turkey. We put it also under the translation. You can click on the links. Yeah. So let's start. I would like to start with some usual questions. We discuss conscriptions. We discuss conscription period, and we discuss how is it going in countries. So sometimes I'm going to compare it with Russia in order our audience can understand some details. So Merve, can we start, please, with the procedure of the conscription in Turkey? So what exactly is it going? How many conscription periods per year do you have in Turkey? What is conscription age? In what age men or women also are obliged to go to the military office? Can you provide us with specific details about it?
Sure. As mentioned before, Turkey is the only Council of Europe member states that has not recognized the conscientious objection right. In Turkey, military service is compulsory for everyone between the ages of 20 and 41. Women are not obliged from compulsory military service. And as you mentioned, there is no mechanism that conscientious objectors can apply, and also there is no alternative civilian service. So this is a thing that every man is facing with the age of 20. And I can continue with the conscientious objection situation in here if you want.
Yes. We are going to talk about later, but especially about period of conscription in Turkey. So each man are obliged to go to the military office. How many times per year?
4 times per year, and the duration is 6 months for the compulsory military service.
Mm-hmm. And so, do you have any legal opportunities? For example, not going in the age of 20. For example, can we talk about some universities delay, or maybe some delays that are connected with special work or in other situations? Do you have it in legislation?
Yes, there are some possibilities to postpone it related with mostly with the education. There are some age limits that you can postpone your military service. The age limit for finalize the university for the bachelor degree is 29, and you can also postpone it for your PhD. But the maximum age limit is 35. So when you are 35, you have to take the necessary steps and you have to serve for military.
And do you have the situation, for example, if we're going to speak about Russia a little bit, it's a very unique situation when you find in the army a person after the PhD. For example, we also have these delays in bachelor period, master period, and PhD period, for example, but we have this conscription age until 30 years old, yeah. And sometimes military office doesn't take care about men from 27 till 30. It's not like common situation, but it's possible. Is it possible in Turkey, or military offices control all men, especially after the finish of the PhD?
Yes, they are controlling, and if you, for example, if you are age of 28, and if, for example, if you are age of 29 and you didn't postpone it, your military service, you cannot log into your university again. You cannot refrain your student status, for example. So it's not a very comfortable process in Turkey. They are changing periodically, and you need to take the necessary steps to avoid some risks and problems.
So, if I'm not mistaken, it's only one opportunity to enter university, yes, for men. So if they dismissed from university because of the bad results, for example, there is nothing like another opportunity to enter university. They are obliged to go to the army.
Yes. Yes. So they have to serve, and then they can continue their education
Yes. It's very typical that in the situation that we have also in Russia, so only one opportunity for men to enter bachelor and another degrees. Yes, and another question is maybe to you, Kemal. Can you please describe some health issues that can give you a chance to evade army legally? So if we are speaking about Russia, we have a list of health issues, and if you prove your health situation, you are legally can be free from army. We call it like 5 categories that the military office is issued to you. For example, A, B, C, D, E. So what health conditions do you need to face in order to be free from army in Turkey?
I guess in Turkey it is very similar to Russia, but I don't really have a lot of information about that issue. Merve can explain better.
Yes, please, if possible, Merve.
I know the military service and military organization in Turkey looked at a very different way. For example, if you are LGBT community, they think you are disabled somehow and not fit for the army. That is one of the categories in the health issues, I guess, or the psychological health issues. But other than that, there are some categories Merve can explain better than me.
Yeah, please, Merve.
Thank you, Kemal. Actually, I don't have the exact information about these categories, but I know that there are some categories related with some serious health issues and, for example, some disabilities. These people can get exemption for their military service, but they need to pass some examinations and the committee checks. So this is a long period for them. But yes, it's possible to get exemption because of some health issues. And the issue that Kemal mentioned is a very problematic issue in Turkey because, as I said before, men are obliged from compulsory military service. But for example, a homosexual or a trans can refuse to serve for military. But in this case, they are facing a very problematic process because this committee that they need to prove their sexual orientation, asking some proof from them to prove their homosexualities, for example. In the past years, this committee was include some soldiers as well. Not now it's changed, but in the past years they were asking some proof. For example, some videos or some photos that are taken from the sexual relationship of this person who are trying to get exemption from military service. One conscientious objector was identifying this situation and saying like the military and the military hospitals in that period, there were military hospitals in Turkey. Military hospitals has the biggest LGBT porn archive in Turkey because they were asking some proof from sexual relationships. Now they are not asking anymore, but now they are asking, for example, someone from their families. If you are trying to get an exemption as a homosexual, you need to take your mother or father or brother, someone from your family that they need to say that, oh yes, he is homosexual and he cannot serve for compulsory military service, and they want to ask you to fill a form which includes many questions, but some questions are asking very ridiculous questions, something like, were you playing with guns or the babies when you were a child? Or what is the best color that you like? Some kind of questions like this. It's possible for these people get an exemption for military service, but as I said, it's very problematic and challenging process for them, because if they are not they are not open for their family or for their relatives, this can be a very risky situation for them.
So it's like a kind of humiliation, I suppose, with these people in the military offices, because I thought that maybe these men are obliged to bring some documents from state hospitals, for example, and it's difficult sometimes to walk and to receive some documents from state institutions. But if we are speaking about relatives who can come to the military office, military officers, do they believe to the statements that from relatives? So is it like it's very easy to find a way to be free from compulsory military service because your relatives can simply support you, or am I not right here?
Yeah. I think in Turkey it's a bit different because from the experiences that I listened from some friends and some people who passed this exemption period, some of them are not open to their family. Their family don't have any idea if their son is homosexual or not. So in this case, they cannot get someone from their family. So it's a bit difficult for them to get this exemption. If they are open to them, yes, they can prove their sexual orientation, and I think the military officers are okay with the testimonies from the families as well. As I said, I think it's not so easy in Turkey because the society is very conservative and there are many repression against the LGBT people. Most of them are facing some personal difficulties in their personal lives. So it's not so easy to get exemption related with their sexual orientation, I guess.
I can yes. This topic. In the main idea in Turkey, the public thinks if you are not fit for the military as a man, you are not worthy citizen. This is the main idea. And if you are LGBT, even if you open your family, they may not support you or afraid to look as not fitted family, worthy citizens in the society. So it is not an easy process to open your family and get their support. And LGBT community is a minority in Turkey, as many countries, and their rights in the recent years is very narrowing.
Okay, so we can compare it also with Russian Federation and the narrowing of rights of LGBT people in Russia. In Russia, the Supreme Court called them extremists in November 2023. So, the situation is getting worse. But can we go to the conscientious objection in Turkey? So it's very interesting. I read the review of the European Bureau of Conscientious Objectors. And it was stated that, of course, there is nothing like alternative military service or conscientious objections in Turkey, but it was like the punishment called civil death in Turkey that you can face if you are a conscientious objector. So, Kemal, maybe can you explain our viewers this civil death punishment and other liability that conscientious objectors can face for their principles?
Mhm. I will talk about my experiences, but for start, these experiences are very subjective and it changed for the individual. Their options, their families. It depends on them. For my journey, I was always anti-militaristic point of view in my early ages. So in my mind, there was always when it time comes, what will I do about the military service? So when I started the university education, it is automatically postponed to after that. That was my leverage until my 30 because I quitted my education but hold the record on the university, but not go to the university and continue my classes. So I postponed it until 30. It was my leverage, as I said, but downside of it, you cannot finish your undergraduate education if you want in that way. As I am self-taught software developer, I don't need it, but other people may need their education. It depends on individuals' options, as I said. And for now, after 30, my postponed is that, and my university record is finished. By the way, it changed. It changed after my time. Now you cannot postpone it to 30. I think you can go on university like 6 or 7 years most. If you cannot finish it until that time, you will kick off the university. Changed now. For now, I shared my wife's social security to only gain health security for the government, but don't have any retirement plans, etc. I'm working as freelancer. So the main problematic thing is in here finding jobs, because if you are working with SEO, government can give warning to your employer, and there is time limit and fines, monetary fines, and even harsher fines, I guess. And the right to travel and movement, even movement in your neighborhood is problematic. For example, you cannot use, you can use what vehicles or rent vehicles. There are always control points that you may counter, and traffic police can look at your ID, and if you are CEO, there will be consequences of that. And other thing is, I cannot hold assets on my name, for example. My bank account is always at risk because there is administrative monetary fine for my name. We were in the time period objecting the decision of the court that time. So I applied to hold on that fine and managed it somehow. it is now hold on because our objection of the court decision. But every new control point for law enforcement for me is new fine for me. So I am still not too keen of travel, you know.
Can we a little bit hold on? Maybe Merve, can you help us to review some liabilities? So, if I'm not mistaken, so you can face monetary fine, yeah, and your bank accounts are under risk of being banned by the bank or by the state. So you also mentioned some risks that the traffic police can stop you, can watch at your ID, and can understand that you are CEO, and so also put you under the prosecution. And can you please a little bit maybe more describe the relations between worker and between employee and between organization, for example? I mean that in Russia we have new rules from October 2023 that organizations are obliged to send all information about their employees to military offices, and they have also fines, special fines for organizations. And can you please maybe Merve or Kemal, can you describe these relations? How's it in Turkey?
I can continue if that's okay. There is a very similar situation in Turkey. To employ a draft evader or a deserter, a person who didn't serve his compulsory military service is a crime. So if you employ any CEO, you can face a prison sentences from 6 months up to 2 years. So most of the employees are rejecting the employ a person who didn't serve for compulsory military service. So most of the conscientious objectors, as Kemal mentioned, are forced working without social security. This is a very common situation in Turkey. My partner is also a conscientious objector. I am a conscientious objector as well, but since I am not obliged to serve for military, I am not facing any consequences. But for example, my partner is a conscientious objector, and as Kemal mentioned, he is experiencing the same period. He is working as a freelancer. He has no social security and he has no bank account because he has some administrative monetary fines, and he is rejecting to pay these fines. Because of these fines, his bank account can be confiscated, so he cannot use a bank account registered in his own name. But this is a very common situation in Turkey. Most of the CEOs are trying to find other ways to use a bank account because they cannot use the bank account registered their own name. They are trying to use other bank accounts from their family or friends. This is very common.
I have a question about property. What's with property? Because if you don't have any money on a bank account, for example, in Russia, some state institutions can look at your property. And for example, if you have a fine, maybe more than 10,000 euro, for example, it's like the price for the small flat in Russian province. So they can have it and they can sell it now to the state. So is it like something in Turkey with property?
It is similar as well, but the situation is like you can have a property, but if you have a fine that you reject to pay, they can take this property from you, but it changes depending the amount of your fine and the amount of your property. And if you have just one, for example, just one house, they cannot get it from you. But if you have one house, one car, or another house, they can get some of them. But it changes depend on the amount of the fine that you reject to pay.
Yes, the similar rule we have also about the last home, about the last house. And what about social security number? So if I understand it correctly, so it's a possibility to have some medical services, yeah, from the state institutions, for example, and not only medical. So you don't have an opportunity to go to the doctor for the only one opportunity to buy it, like go to the private specialist, yeah, or not? What social security number gives you in Turkey?
Kemal, do you want to answer?
You can go on.
Okay. Okay. If you don't have a social security, you can go to the state hospital. That's okay. But you need to pay some money for any examination or any things that you are going to do in that hospital. You need to pay as well. You can use the state hospital, but if you don't have any social security, you need to pay.
Yes, so simply, if we can finalize it, you don't have a possibility to have a bank account, don't have an opportunity to go to the state doctor, you need to pay for some additional medical service, so you need to be aware of police, traffic police especially, and yeah, it's so I can understand the description of civil death that I read.
I can add this, other than traffic police in Turkey, for many years, more than traffic police, there is checkpoints in cities, in neighborhoods, on roads, on the countryside, gendarmerie control points. There are a lot of control points in Turkey. We moved Istanbul after pandemic to my home country. It's a little city comparing to Istanbul. It is easier to move around, but it is still problematic. In Istanbul, even with my bicycle, I came across the control point.
And yes, and also it's like a ban to have a job under the provisions of a job contract. Yes, because you simply can't apply for the official job because of these provisions, because of these restrictions. And what about the ban of leaving the country? I think Kemal mentioned it. So if you are a CEO, is it possible to leave freely or not?
To leave country, you ask?
Yes. I mean, live in the country, to buy a ticket for the flight and to go to the, I don't know, European Union and other countries.
Yeah, you can move, but there is two process in that regards. If you are CEO, it is not problem, I think, but there is other kind of court issues in Turkey against military. Talking about the military, there is other crime in Turkey. If you have that trial, I think it's problematic. I don't know. Merve can ask better than
me. There is no restriction to travel abroad. A CEO can leave the country. But for example, in 2014, my partner was trying to get a passport. On that time, he applied to the police station for a passport, and they asked a document that he is not obliged from compulsory military service, but that was not a common practice. It was an unusual. So we appealed against it, and he got the passport. And now any CEO can get their passport. But the problem is, for example, if you want to travel EU countries, you need to get Schengen visa. And for the Schengen visa, you need some documents for the visa companies to get this visa. For example, some bank account documents. But if you don't have any bank account registered in your own name, you cannot show any documents for this visa application. A few months ago, we had tried to get a Schengen visa for my partner. And they asked for a bank account to see if he is okay with his own economy, something like that. And we couldn't show any bank account registered in his own name. And we prepared another document that why it's not okay, it's not possible to give this document because he is a CEO, so he cannot use a bank account registered in his own name, something like that. And he was trying to join an international event regarding with conscientious objection issue. So we succeeded and he get the visa. But it was a chance for him because if you cannot show a bank account for the visa application, you cannot get the visa. So it's a very problematic thing for the conscientious objectors. And another thing is in the airports, you can also encounter, for example, an identity checkpoints because there are police and there are some police checkpoints in the airports, and they can check your ID. And if they see that you are a draft evader or evader and you are a person who didn't serve for military, they can take you from there to the police station. And in this case, you can miss your flight. It doesn't mean that they are going to arrest you, but they can give an official record for you, and then you will be free. But you can miss your flight, for example. So this is a problem as well for the conscientious objectors. So people can feel a bit insecure to travel abroad if they are a CEO.
Oh, okay. Thank you, Merve. I have another question about the activity of organizations and talking about activities of your organization, especially. So I read that there is like pressure on organizations that help conscientious objectors in Turkey, and it was an organization that closed down in 2021. And could you please tell our viewers about your organization, about the Conscientious Objection Watch? What main activities do you have, and how you help conscientious objectors in Turkey, and especially under the pressure from the state?
Mm-hmm. Before December 2021, we were acting as a registered organization in Turkey called Association of Conscientious Objection. But due to our some security concerns, we had to take the decision of closing the association. Because some of our members, in that period, some of our members were facing some investigations, some criminal cases. Some of them leave the country, some of them stayed, but it was a bit problematic process for us to decide what we are going to do, because in that period, the repression against the non-government and civil society in Turkey was getting higher. So we had to take the decision of close this association. For example, I was facing an investigation of making propaganda of a terrorist organization. because that we organized an event for 15th of May in Diyarbakir, in a Kurdish city. And some of our members faced some criminal cases. They left the country, so that we didn't feel safe to continue in that way. So we had to close the association until from 2022. We are continuing our work as an unregistered organization, which is more secure for us, we think. Conscientious Objection Watch is the only organization which is working on CO issue in Turkey. And we are trying to monitor the situation of conscientious objectors and the legal process in Turkey. Some examples about our work, what we are doing right now. For example, we are publishing periodical bulletins in every 3 months, which are focusing the applications that we get from the CEOs. For example, what kind of violations they are facing, what is their situation, something like that. And we are trying to monitor and report them. And we are a member of Four Registers International and also member of European Bureau for Conscientious Objection. Together with these international organizations, we are trying to get lobbying activities in Europe countries, because it's not possible to lobby inside Turkey, inside the parliament regarding the CO issue right now. The situation in Turkey and the political atmosphere in Turkey is not okay to talk about the CO right in now. There are some political parties and parliaments that we are in contact. Most of them are Kurdish, and they are aware of the situation. They are aware of the conscientious objection right. But since there is a kind of chain of the human rights violations in Turkey, most of them are not able to focus on CO. So we are trying to make some lobbying activities within Europe together with our partners, international partners. And we are trying to get more organized within CO and CO Watch, because as Kemal said, most of the people that we are in contact are living in different cities in Turkey, but somehow they are facing the same situation, same restrictions, same violations. So we are trying to get more organized, get more connected within Turkey. That's the one thing that we are trying to do. And we are running some social media campaigns, and we have a website, and we are trying to create a public opinion on conscientious objection in Turkey. That's what Conscientious Objection Watch is doing right now, briefly.
And about the public opinion, so yeah, I have a question. You mentioned that you have some members of parliament, so it's like national parliament, yeah, that are a little bit aware of the problem of CO, and maybe I suppose you have members of regional, not parliaments, but regional inlands, yeah, members of representatives of people who are also aware of this problem. But what about the public opinion? As far as I'm concerned, it's very tough, because you mentioned that you were under pressure as an organization. And what about public opinion? What people think about conscientious objectors? What people think about the idea of the army in Turkey. So, for example, because of the war in Russia, it's changed completely, and it's very difficult to speak with people, although we have a lot of people with anti-war views in Russia, but they are, of course, frightened, and it's very difficult to spread their ideas publicly. But what about opinion in Turkey now?
In Turkey, the conscientious objectors are coming from different backgrounds. Some of them are refusing because of their political ideas, some of them refusing because of religion. But the situation in Turkey is a bit difficult to talk and get organized about conscientious objection, I think, because the society is very conservative right now, and the politics are getting more conservative and nationalistic. So it's a bit difficult to discuss about the idea not having a military service in Turkey. And the past years, actually right now as well, there are some kind of war with the Kurdish people and the Kurdish movement with Turkish military, and there is also a kind of a taboo to talk about if that's possible to think a country without a compulsory military service, because the thing that we are always hearing is there are many risks around our country, and there are many terrorist organizations who are waiting to attack this country, so we need to defend our country. This is the very common idea in the society. This is very, how can I say, most of the people think like this. But if we talk about the perspective of human rights movement in Turkey, I think most of the social opposition, I don't mean the nationalistic one, the most of the social opposition are okay with the right to conscientious objection, because I know that most of the people are trying to find some ways to survive compulsory military service. Some of them are trying to get exemptions, some of them trying to continue their education, to postpone it more, because it's a big obstacle against in their personal lives. So they are trying to find some ways to survive this thing. So I can say that the social opposition and the civil society are open think about conscientious objection right. But related with the political atmosphere in Turkey right now, it's not so easy to talk and to discuss and to get organized around this right for me.
Okay, thank you. So a
I
little
can give an example for that.
Yes, Kemal, I also wanted you to have maybe some examples here, please.
Thank you. For example, my younger cousin that came of age for military service asked me about my situation because I shared my situation with my relatives and my family. It is easier for me since my relations with them. But many other people cannot share openly their situations or even talk about them. My younger cousin asked me, and I explained the situation. I told him, you cannot work in, legal companies and private sector too, and your bank account will be at risk, etc., etc. After that, he felt like he had to go to military service. Last week, he decided to take the monetary service. You can go 1 month and give some money to military and government. That's kind of military service in Turkey. But he cannot do that because he couldn't do that because he don't have money. So he had to go, and after that, we talked sometimes in his service. There is tough time for him. After that, he said to me, if one day I have a child, I don't let him to go the military. That is the change of perspective, I guess, in the younger generations in Turkey. But as Merve said, the political situation is very tough, and CEOs is not visible in Turkey. In media, there's nothing. Yeah, that's my example for that. But it is very hard to talk your relatives, etc. My relatives are conservative too, by the way, not the best of people you can talk that issues.
Okay, and Kemal, please, can we a little bit go on with your personal story? So, if we have this background about conscientious objectors in Turkey with all these liabilities and punishments and all this procedure, can you please describe for our viewers your way? I mean, the way from the application to military office, or I don't know, how did you describe your views to the state, to the military officers, and what liability do you face with because of this? Can you please describe your personal story here?
Mm-hmm. As I said, there is the decision of monetary fine about me. After that, it is last decision, so it is okay for me to go to upper court. Then I decided to constitutional court in Turkey, but right now they are holding cases. 2 years from now, nothing happened there. It is last resort before the applying to European Court of Human Rights in Turkey. So I think that's why they are holding us to reach the European Court. Before European Court, they are holding because there are decisions in the European Court about Turkey. And other thing is Turkey is obliged to rule with international treaties according to Turkey's constitution. So they are not ruling as constitution said right now.
Yes, I have. Sorry, Kemal, I have questions about the European Court also. But you also faced the monetary fine, yeah, and after that you complain, and now there is like nothing happens because they're holding the procedure in constitutional court. You mentioned constitutional court, yes.
Yeah, now the situation is civil that for me right now. They are holding me in front of the constitutional court. Nothing happens right now. My monetary fine is hold on right now because my objection, but anytime they may decide to remove that hold, then I have to pay it, or I cannot use my bank account properly. Yeah. And by the way, I can add this. There are many unlawful practices in these trials and processes. For example, my decision, final decision paper dated with 1st of January, which is holiday in Turkey, and this is unlawful practice. Or some cases that other CEOs experienced, provincial governors and sent predefined decisions to law enforcement some cases, and that is unlawful too. Yeah, that's the situation right now for me.
What about the fine? How much money do you need to pay?
I don't remember really, but it is like 2 or 2.5k in Turkish liras.
And in euro, can you?
It is
No.
much less euro.
Ah.
It is 32 Turkish liras in one euro in Turkey right now.
So okay, I can't.
But as I said, every time when I counter the law enforcement, there will be new monetary fines, and it will be much higher because mine was like 4 years ago, and inflation in Turkey is much higher right now, and fines are double, tripled right now.
Yes, and also I wanted to ask about criminal liability. So I also read in a review about criminal liability. Can you, or please, Merve, describe in which situation a person can face criminal liability? So it was a lot of cases. For example, in EPCO review, also I read a lot of cases about it, and it was cases that were presented in front of European Court of Human Rights. And in which situations? So we are speaking about the military men who, for example, evade from army or evade from draft and commission, or we can speak also about usual men, not military, who can also face the criminal liability.
I can talk a bit about the conscientious objectors, what they are facing for the criminal cases. As Kemal mentioned, when a conscientious objectors get the administrative monetary fines, and when this fine is finalized, it means that this person is going to face a criminal cases when he gets a new official record from police or gendarmerie. So it means that a conscientious objectors can face an endless criminal cases with the same accusation. So it's also called as civil debt by the European Court of Human Rights. And it's very common. There are many conscientious objectors are facing criminal cases more than once. And in these criminal cases, for example, they can give some prison sentences from 6 months up to 2 years. But the court can turn this prison sentence to a monetary fine again. But if you continue to reject this fine, it means that you are going to face an imprisonment sentences in any case. I remember that there was a CEO, I guess 2 years ago. He has 6 different criminal cases and 6 different sentences from these cases. And in the last criminal case, the court also decided to give a prison sentence to him. And if he rejects to pay this monetary fine, he will send to prison. So he took the decision to pay this monetary fines because in other case he will go to prison. So this is the situation in here. There will be an endless criminal cases and endless prison sentences. There are more than 50 applications in the Constitutional Court regarding the conscientious objection rights from 2014. But there are no decision yet. We are still waiting for the decision to apply for the European Court of Human Rights. The thing that the government is doing right now is just ignoring to see the conscientious objectors and the conscientious objection right, because there are many applications waiting in the Constitutional Court, and there are many decisions from the international mechanisms, for example, European Court of Human Rights or the Committee of Ministers, but they are just ignoring to see and act related with the conscientious objection right. Last year, in 2023, we made a submission to the Committee of Ministers because they are reviewing the ülke cases of the European Court of Human Rights, which is focusing on the CO in Turkey. And they gave a deadline to the Turkish government until June 2024 to take the necessary steps for the conscientious objection and recognize the conscientious objection right. But this is a good decision to push the government, but we are not so hopeful that the government is going to do something, anything about this decision, because there are some other decisions from European Court of Human Rights, for example, Kavala, for example, other decisions that government is not recognizing, just insisting not to see that decision and act on that. So we are not so hopeful for the decision of Committee of Ministers, but it's a good step to move forward for us, because we know that the international mechanisms are following up on the issue and trying to get more repression on the government in here. It's good in a way, but we don't think that there will be a change in Turkey after June 2024, unfortunately.
Can I ask one question as a lawyer, because I'm curious? Please, if I'm not mistaken, the Turkey is a member of International Covenant on Civil and Political Rights, yes? And of course, there is a stated point about conscientious objection in this covenant. So, and what Constitutional Court of Turkey tell us about this? So I can give you an example, because in Russia we have also Constitutional Court, and this Constitutional Court invented a mechanism that if something from international conventions, international treaties are going to interfere Russian constitution or going beyond the Russian constitution, so we can't apply it in Russia. So it was invented by Russian Constitutional Court in order to not to apply some provisions from international treaties and especially European Convention on Human Rights. And how is it possible in Turkey, if you are a member of the Covenant on Civil and Political Rights, I mean this convention, what mechanisms Constitutional Court are trying to invent here?
I'm not a lawyer, but
sorry for my low question, but I'm a little bit curious. Maybe what positions do you have from Constitutional Court? Can I paraphrase it here?
If I'm not wrong, I'm not a lawyer again, but if I'm not wrong, we don't need to wait the decision of the Constitutional Court to move forward. But this is a strategy, some kind of strategy to wait or to move forward. If you want to move forward, you need maybe more strengthen network or contacts from this forward. So I'm not completely sure what's the best way to do it, but I think there is a way to move forward right now, but it's related with your strategy, I guess.
And the Constitutional Court simply rejected all applications. Yeah,
Not
rejected.
rejected, not accepted. Said
Not-
anything. Just
so-
waiting.
waiting. So you just send documents. There is nothing.
Yes.
Okay. So, okay.
And
Yeah,
there
I
are
understand.
They are not decided. It is going to trial or not. Not decided that either right now. Just
Yeah, I understand, because you need to prove. You need to prove to European Court of Human Rights that you have taken all measures in national jurisdiction. Yes, thank you. I understand. Sorry again for the maybe law question. We don't have a lot of time, but I'm really curious to ask you both about the situation in Cyprus. So I can say I read this article. About the CEO called Mustafa Hübren. It was Mustafa Hübren's case. He was sentenced to 5 days in prison because he rejected to pay his fine. And it was a very interesting decision from the court. It was the Cyprus, can we say that it's North Cyprus or the Cyprus that is occupied under Turkey? So it's like, according to international law, it's like Cyprus occupied by Turkey. So, and it was a decision from the court that there was nothing like legislation about it, and there was nothing like punishment that they can brought to him except the fine. Merve, I know that you were in these proceedings. Can you please describe our viewers a little bit about this case and about the situation in Cyprus, North Cyprus? Is it differ from the situation in Turkey, or is it completely simple, like in Turkey?
Mm-hmm. I was in there as an international observer from War Resisters International. What I saw in Cyprus is that it's a bit similar with Turkey, because when we were in the court, actually it was a good decision because the judge accepted that the Mustafa Hürben is a conscientious objector. And conscientious objection is a human right. She didn't discuss anything about it, so that was good. And she just passed the issue to the parliament, and she said that we cannot do anything because there is no legislation on conscientious objection in here. So, according to the law in Cyprus, there is a fine you need to pay, and if you reject to pay, you will be sent to prison. And Mustafa said that, that's okay for me. Please send me to prison today. But she said that you need to wait for 5 days, and if you don't pay, you will be in prison for 3 days. And he's sent to prison for 3 days. And today there is another hearing of a conscientious objector in Cyprus, Ali Karapashaoğlu, and friends in Cyprus are expecting that he is going to be arrested again for a few days. What I see in Cyprus, it's a bit similar with Turkey, because the parliament is just ignoring to take necessary steps on conscientious objection. Right? There are some parliaments from the opposition, and they are okay with the idea, and they have really good contacts with the CO organization in Cyprus. But the government is just ignoring the situation, and in this perspective, it's a bit similar with Turkey. The situation is similar with Turkey for me.
Yes, but I read also about the difficult that this part of Cyprus face because of the political situation. It's according to international community and national society. So it's like a part. It's not like a part of Turkey. It's like whole Cyprus, like the member of the European Union also. So I read that this is impossible to file a claim in European Court of Human Rights from that territory, or there is some difficulties to have any mechanisms to appellate. Is it right? Am I right or not?
I'm not sure about the European Court of Human Rights, but I know that they can use some mechanisms of UN. They have some ideas to make some applications for these CEOs, these arrested CEOs, to some UN mechanisms, and they are working on it. I know that they are working on it. So I know that they can make some applications to UN mechanism, but I'm not sure about the European Court of Human Rights. That's the situation. But I think that they can do, because they made an application. A CEO, Murat Kanatlı, made an application to European Court of Human Rights a few years ago. So yeah, it seems that they can do, because they are waiting for the result of that application now.
Okay. Thank you very much. I think that we have a pretty good dialogue about the situation in Turkey, so I can understand and I can compare it now. So when I had a webinar with Conscientious Objectors from Greece, I thought that they also have tough situation. If I want to compare it with Russian legislation, it's my opinion, subjective opinion, but yeah, it's a little bit tougher to also evade from army in Greece, and they also have fines. And now I understand that situation in Turkey is much more difficult as far as I'm concerned. I wish you a good luck in your activities. Thank you very much for sharing your points, for sharing your ideas and about the conscientious objection, especially in Turkey. Kemal, thank you very much for sharing your point of view and your personal story. I wish you a good luck in all your activities in Turkey in this situation, without bank account, without any typical civil possibilities that we have maybe in Europe or in other countries. Yeah. Thank you very much for your activities. And also, I ask our viewers to support Conscientious Objection Watch and our organization also. And I would like to say that in the future, I think maybe in February, we also will have webinars with another organization. So stay tuned. Thank you, guys, again.
Thank you for inviting us.